Anthropic is counting on you not reading the fine print. Claude Opus 4.8 just dropped into the conversation, and half the internet lost its mind over a version number. A version number, not a paradigm shift, not a new architecture, a decimal point. And that is exactly how they want it. Anthropic, in my analysis, appears to be running the oldest play in the software industry. Ship something that benchmarks well, give it a name that sounds like a leap, and let Twitter do 90% of the persuasion. The villain here is not Anthropic alone. It is the entire frontier lab ecosystem that has turned model versioning into a marketing cadence. OpenAI does it. Google does it. And now Anthropic appears to have perfected it. They release Opus 4.8 with claims about expanded context windows and improved reasoning, and every developer on the planet assumes the thing under the hood is fundamentally different. It is not, or at least the evidence so far does not suggest it is. Here is what actually seems to be happening. Point 1. The benchmarks are eating themselves. Every new model version ships with a chart showing it beating the last version on standard evals. MMLU, human eval, hellaswag. But these benchmarks have become the training targets themselves. When you optimize a model through RLHF and constitutional AI feedback loops that are tuned against the same evaluation, sets the public uses to rank you, your scores go up without your reasoning going up. It is textbook overfitting dressed in a lab coat. The real-world consequence is that developers deploy Opus 4.8 into production RAG pipelines, expecting measurably better retrieval-augmented generation quality, and find that hallucination rates on domain-specific queries have barely moved. The number on the chart improved. The output in your application did not. Point 2. Latency and cost are the actual battleground, and nobody wants to talk about it. Opus 4.8 appears to carry inference costs that remain significantly higher than sonnet-tier models. For most production use cases, the marginal improvement in output coherence does not justify the token economics. If you are running a customer-facing agent doing multi-turn dialogue, every extra millisecond of latency and every fraction of a cent per 1,000 tokens compounds into real money. The dirty truth is that the majority of teams building real products are not using the flagship model. They are fine-tuning smaller, cheaper models and getting 80% of the quality at 10% of the cost. Opus 4.8 is a prestige product. It exists so Anthropic can win the leaderboard, not so you can win in production. Point 3. The reasoning plateau is real and nobody at these labs will say it out loud. We have been stuck in a pattern since late 2023, where each new model release shows diminishing returns on tasks that require genuine multi-step logical inference. Chain of thought prompting helped, but the underlying transformer architecture has fundamental limitations in compositional reasoning that no amount of RLHF or scaled compute appears to be solving. Opus 4.8, from everything publicly available, does not introduce a new reasoning paradigm. It is a refined version of the same decoder-only architecture with better training data curation and possibly expanded mixture of experts routing. That is optimization. That is not revolution. If you are one of the few people who actually cares whether the next model is genuinely smarter or just better marketed, you are in the right place. Subscribe. Because this conversation is going to get louder, and most channels are not going to have it honestly. Now, the strongest counterargument is obvious. Someone will say incremental improvement is still improvement, and that dismissing Opus 4.8 is just contrarianism. Fair. I will grant that better data curation and longer context windows have real utility for specific workloads. Legal document analysis, long-form code generation. These are legitimate gains. But calling it a new model version implies a step function, and what we appear to be getting is a slope that is flattening. The version number promises a staircase. The capability curve is a ramp that is losing angle. So here is where we land. The AI industry has a versioning addiction. Every quarter, a new number. Every number, a new hype cycle. Every hype cycle, a new wave of developers rebuilding integrations for marginal gains, while the foundational problems of reasoning, reliability, and cost remain stubbornly unsolved. Anthropic is not evil for doing this. In my view, they appear to be rational actors in an irrational market. But you do not have to be a willing participant in the theater. So tell me straight, is Claude Opus 4.8 a genuine leap in AI capability? Or is it just the best marketed point release in the history of language models?